So within the egg industry, it is not uncommon to have split invoices, whereas more than one customer is responsible for paying on a certain order. We've covered that in a different video, just how to set up split billing and how that works. But as well as, since those can be split, it is not uncommon to not get that information up ahead of time. And maybe when you invoice that order, you either used a different split or you didn't split something that should have been split. Maybe there's other changes that need to be on that order. Maybe the price was not correct that you had been agreed to with the grower, or maybe there should have been, some other changes on that invoice and order that you're going to need to make. So within Levridge, we've kind of sidestepped and grouped all of that functionality into what we call credit and rebill. So what this functionality does, we'll go through and take that invoice, and it's going to unapply anything, any payments that you've had against it. It's going to create a credit and invoice the credit, and then go ahead and create a new order for you to make whatever changes are needed so it can be processed again. So if we take a look at that, first we're going to take a look under egg sales, invoices, egg sales, or egg sales invoices. And we'll go to the bottom here for one we've already set up. So you'll see invoice here from Martin Farms as well as Wright Farms. And these were actually invoiced together. It was a split on a certain order. And so when I invoiced that, it created actually two orders and invoiced those two orders. So say we chose the wrong split on this order. It should have been a different split for it. So we could come into egg invoices and choose one of those. We don't have to choose all of them. And we can do in the top credit and rebill. Now the system knows that this was a part of a split order. So it warns you or informs you that there are other split invoices related to this one and asks, do you want to do all of them? If I say yes, it's going to find all of those other invoices that happened at the same time. And I can come down here and say, okay. And here again, what the system is doing in this case is creating a credit note for each of those customers, invoice them, and then it will apply them to the outstanding invoice. And here it shows us the new order that it created. Now on this order, I could come in and say, yep, maybe map should have been to also between us 55 and 45. And so now on this open order, when we invoice this, it will go in and apply this split to map as well as urea. Let's take a look though at what the system did in the background when we hit the credit rebill. So here on this invoice, we can see the status has been invoiced over here. And what it did was create a negative sales order or a credit for what Martin Farms was responsible for on their invoice. It invoiced this sales order. And if we take a look at the other one, we can see Wright Farms. It had created a negative sales order here. Again, it invoiced it and applied it. So that outstanding invoice that both of these customers had is now fully applied to these credit invoices. And then the system had regenerated a new sales order for us with the quantities from that original order. And then we had gone in and modified that split group on it. So now we could go back and we could invoice this one that had been split again. So why don't we go ahead and do that? We'll just invoice this one. And we will, again, leave just our default split. So here it's showing us it's going to create two orders MAP and urea for those quantities. And we'll continue. And as we saw in the other video, what that does is go in and cancel the sales order and create 2 separate orders, each for those customers and the quantities that they are responsible for. And it invoiced those as well. So that's credit rebill. The other option on this egg sales invoices form is just to credit. So credit rebill will go out and recreate the sales order for you. So you can go ahead and make whatever changes you want and then to re-invoice it. What the credit option will do, if we choose this one, and here I selected one of the invoices from that split order that we had just done. It's warning us that there was splits out here. Do we want to do it for both? And this time I'm going to say no. So now what this is going to do is go out and credit that invoice just for Martin Farms. So whatever was on their invoice, it will go in and create a credit invoice, a credit order, invoice that and apply it to this outstanding one. So if we say okay, it went ahead and processed that. And it, as you notice, it didn't pop up with the sales order because the credit doesn't recreate the sales order. It's assuming that this invoice was just incorrect in some way and they just want to correct it and not have that invoice at all. So we'll go to egg sales orders again and just take a quick look. So here's the one for Martin Farms. And if we open that one up, it will be for the negative quantity that they had on their invoice. And we can see that it's been invoiced. And also the system applied it to that first invoice. So there's 2 options there, depending upon what is needed. You could go in and just credit it, which is going to reverse the invoice completely, or you could do a credit rebill and it will credit it, but as well as it'll create another order for you to move ahead, make any changes, and then to re-invoice as needed.